Hi, everyone. It's Women's Month. And so today we're going to discuss a topic that is relevant to all women because it is a phase that we will all encounter in our lives. And this is menopause. With us is Moni Platt, one of our senior specialists in the MDP ashram. And Moni is also the head of the World Institute for Incurable Diseases. Hi, Moni. Thank you for your time.
Hi, Rory. It is a great pleasure to be here with you today, and thank you for bringing up the theme of menopause for women. I think it is something that is sometimes neglected a little bit, and thank you for having me.
Okay, so let's go straight to the point, Moni. So menopause, when you're young, as when I was young, you're always like you hear all these stories about women in their 50s or even or in their 40s experiencing early menopause, and they all have these negative things. They say it's something to be feared of, and it completely makes you nuts, etc. I myself had a very challenging menopause, and I really suffered through it for like 3 to 4 years. And so when I was undergoing menopause, I did a lot of research about it to try to help me and understand it better. But in all that research, I never encountered a single article or interview that talked about energy medicine and menopause and how it can help. So can you please enlighten us from an energetic perspective or energy medicine perspective, what
Mhm.
exactly is menopause and can energy medicine really help us?
Yeah, so I think we can start with two different things. There is the medical side of menopause, as we would Google online and we would find all the background information, or if you would go to your gynecologist and you can do blood tests and determine the levels of your hormones. And then there is the less known path, the path of healing. And in my capacity as a senior specialist for the Viva Science Energy Medicine healing modality that was brought to us and founded by Master Delpe under the World Institute for Incurable Diseases. I have had good experience and great pleasure also to help many women to overcome menopausal issues. Now, the common menopausal issues, premenopause, during menopause, and postmenopause, are usually hot flushes, feeling more tired, demotivated, kind of a foggy mind, and also emotional ups and downs, physical changes, body mass loss, and I think with respect of the medical approach nowadays, one of the most common aspects or ways that women are being helped is hormone replacement therapy, which is of course one way to go to help people to maintain the estrogen and progesterone levels. However, with chemical approaches, we always have to bear in mind that there might be potential long-term side effects in taking medicines. So in our approach, we do have a moderate approach. We are a complete standalone healing modality in energy medicine. And we do not need medicines or the pharmaceutical approaches to help us to help people overcome any of their imbalances. So with menopause. However, we are also working in collaboration should someone decide to go the medical route and combine it then with energy medicine. So from my own perspective, if I can share my story, is that I have been with the World Institute for Incurable Diseases since 2006. And I have had, I guess, the honor, the good karma, or the good luck that I have learned certain tools and techniques that I have been applying every day in my life since then. And now that I have reached my own menopause time, I find that the side effects that usually affect women in this or at this stage of menopause, in my case, the side effects are really minimal. They are
Mhm.
not totally gone. Of course, the physical changes are still there. I have noticed that my estrogen levels and my progesterone levels have certainly changed. I have noticed the body physical changes. However, my vitality still stays high. I have had no hot flushes. I've had no mood swings. And I find that I have a lot of power and strength left to continue doing what I'm doing, fulfilling my life purpose in this life. So with energy medicine, what we do is we can first establish the severity and side effects of menopause by scanning the energy anatomy. So what we need to do is we need to first establish which body systems are really affected from the menopause. Now, of course, since the estrogen and progesterone levels are dropping, the endocrine system would be out of balance. That speaks for itself. But then the comorbidities of menopause, as what women would also otherwise experience very, very often, for example, is weight gain.
Mm.
And why does that happen? It is because there is a change also in the metabolic rate of the body and the processing of the different nutrients that we are taking in is not the same anymore. And so there are also changes to the thyroid functions. And interestingly to me, when I do my energetic scanning of the function of the thyroid and here around the throat chakra or energy center, then I find that with menopausal women, very often this is depleted and diminished in its function. But it seems like that in the medical field, there is very rarely really an investigation on that level because it is just in a way assumed that when you go through menopause and after menopause, you will just gain weight. And what is also interesting in the weight gain spectrum is that there are two predominant profiles, body profiles that I have noticed. So most of the women really gain weight in the midsection. That is one of the biggest weight gain things. But some women also gain weight in and around the hip area. They really have, accumulate more visceral fats on that level. And from the energetic point of view, when we scan the energy anatomy, we notice that very often the energy center that is responsible for our lower emotions, that gives us anxiety or depression and any other lower emotions that come with menopause, that energy center is usually very congested. So what that would indicate is that the energy actually cannot flow. So you have then a congestion of energy. And then secondly, the sex chakra, which is on top of the pubic bone that governs the function of the reproductive system, becomes very often depleted and then also congested, or the energy is not flowing. So you have a chakra, the emotional chakra, which is in the midsection of your body, and then your energy center that governs your reproductive system. Both of them are congested. The lower one is also depleted, so the energy is not flowing anymore. And you can think of it like a river. If you have a river and the river flows and whatever debris or congestion or contamination we would throw into a river, as long as it flows, it will flush itself clean. But if you would put a barrier and then the energy in the river, the water would hit the barrier and then it cannot flow anymore, then the river goes stale, right? We all know that. And then usually it becomes a non-living organism and things in it would die. Now, in us, we don't die, but what happens is we gain weight because the energy is not flowing.
Okay.
So what we do in our system is we have very specific physical exercises and breathing techniques. And through our healing techniques that we apply as the specialists, to remove these congestions and re-establish the flow of energy. When you do that, then you will start losing weight again. Another aspect that I find is one of the maybe not so much considered or thought about or talked about. It is well researched, of course, but in my case, I think when I was talking to the women that I have healed, they were not aware of the factor that once the estrogen goes down, inflammation in the body goes up. Well, that is one of the things that I was really surprised, because by research and in the medical profession, we know that estrogen is the highest anti-inflammatory hormone that we have in the body. And so when the estrogen levels drop, the very common side effects for all women is stiff joints or joint pains, or any other inflammations, and also affecting very much the circulation and cardiovascular system. So with respect to that, we need to be aware of that, and we should be made aware of that even, ahead of time before we go into menopause, that we apply measures that would allow us to have a more anti-inflammatory lifestyle. So when we are looking into healing, we are looking into healing not only the physical body, but we are looking into healing on the 5 levels of health. We have to heal the physical body, the vitality, the emotions, the mind, and the spiritual aspect in us. So within the realm of anti-inflammatory measures, of course, the first simplest thing is have a healthy lifestyle and a healthy diet. Inform yourself and find a dietitian that would advise you how to eat and have an anti-inflammatory diet in your everyday life. Another thing is, I think it is very important that you need to hydrate yourself more when you are going through menopause and after menopause. And one thing for sure is you have to continue being active, fit, and exercise. And the exercises should be a combination with a little bit of aerobic exercises that allows your circulatory system to stay strong. And then the other exercises should be resistance exercises. Now you can choose to go to the gym. That is up to you, or you can choose your own physical body or with the body, you can do like push-ups, planks, you can do squats, you can do high impact, intense exercises. Any of those will help you to maintain a higher muscle mass and maintain a higher body mass. And it is through that your visceral fats stay low. So it will also help you with avoiding the weight gain. And then secondly, it makes the bone density higher when you do the impact and resistance exercises, which is also one of the major side effects in menopause. We lose bone density. And then the third factor is if you keep on exercising, your metabolism stays high and inflammation goes down.
Okay, wow, that is very well explained. Thank you, Moni. In the recent years, it's been recorded that women get menopause at younger years now. During my generation, where it would be like 52, 53. But I know more women in the younger generation who get it early on. Why is this so?
Yeah, I think in the modern world where we live in, and especially in the past maybe 20 years, so, as you say, the generations before us, they have been really growing up in this consumer society where there's so many choices with respect of lifestyle choices. We have to start again with the basics. So when women get pregnant, a lot of the women are already exposed to hormonal overload by certain medicines that they are being given during pregnancy already, or the women themselves are exposed to certain contaminations, pollutions in their environments. and especially I would say the junk foods, anything that you eat that comes in a package, anything that is not fresh from the field into your pot, into your mouth, would have a certain contamination factor from pesticides and fertilizers and also hormonal treatments.
Yeah.
Now, in our case, we are vegetarians, and as a vegetarian, you do have a better choice to avoid a lot of hormone-treated food sources. But for those people out there who are eating meat and a lot of the milk products, they are very contaminated with hormones because the animals get treated with hormones to produce faster results, to fatten them up and then slaughter them and consume that. And even the drinking water is contaminated with many chemicals. And the newest research also shows that even babies nowadays are born with small plastic particles in their brains and in their body cells already. So all that contamination, all that pollution, unhealthy and sedative lifestyle would contribute for all your organs not to function well. And so one of the affected organs, of course, would be the liver. And the liver is one of the producers of a certain form of estrogen that is still a contributing factor to the overall well-being of the hormonal cycle. So when your liver does not detoxify anymore because of all these pollutants and plastics and artificial chemical substances, it will affect the hormonal functioning in our body, and we will, because of that, go into menopause earlier. I believe also that the exposure or the aspect of how we treat healthy sexual interaction and sexual projection in our society has an impact. Very often we find that people are very suppressed in their sexual expression, or they do the opposite, and then there are no limits. And with respect of the either suppression or overexpression in sexual behaviors, that would affect the energetic component, either becoming depleted too early or having different contaminations. Find a lot of women have got, for example, endometriosis, or they have myoma. So their uterus is compromised with these type of symptoms or diseases, and it affects also the hormonal balance. A lot of women also have incapacity of even producing hormones. So there is also a karmic component that I see that works into the aspect of people then wanting, or women wanting to become pregnant and not being able to do that naturally. They go for a lot of hormonal and IVF treatments to be able to become pregnant.
Yeah.
A lot of young people, because sexual activity starts much younger in our day and age than it used to be before, would also opt to go for contraception, either through the monthly pill or also devices that can be inserted. Also hormonal stickers. I think there's many different devices out there available. However, all these treatments or all these choices do have a negative effect on the long-term balance of the hormones. And those are some of the contributing factors that I found, that even young girls, women in young age, even as young as 30, as you mentioned, even as I have one of the youngest one, mid-20s, that would already show symptoms of premenopause.
Okay, so wow, that's a lot. So with everything that you've told us about, is it really possible to reverse everything that these women do to their bodies? Like I'm guilty of eating, a lot of junk food, and I used to be a meat eater and all. And really how I wish I knew of all these techniques. But for the but we started really, our menopause was in our 50s. But for the young ones, we get all these injections
Mhm.
and stuff like that. Is it really possible to reverse that as women age?
I think with respect of the aspects of wrong lifestyle choices, the earlier that you start to reverse the wrong lifestyle choices and then adopt healthy lifestyle choices, you can reverse in certain instances. It really depends on the severity of the imbalances and comorbidities that are presented. What I have experienced that in our healing system with the pure science energy medicine modality, we have a continuous high success rate in helping women overcome all these issues of any age. Now, we never promise a cure because that is a big thing, I think, to promise. Even medicine would not promise that. However, I can honestly say from my experience and from my work with women that have hormonal issues, menopausal issues, that no matter what condition they are in, we can improve their condition to such an extent that they can live a powerful, balanced, and purposeful life. So I would say that the success rate of positive healing outcomes for the women is at least an improvement of 70% and more, which I think is enormous when you consider that we are only using a non-touch, non-invasive healing system that is pure energy, where you do not need to take any chemical procedures, where you do not need to go for surgery, but you can do everything in a natural way, reversing sometimes many, many years of wrongdoings. We always have to remember that the imbalances that we would face today is not something that came today. It is the sins of many years of wrong choices and wrong ways of living, and sometimes also the karmic aspect that we would maybe carry an imbalance in our reproductive system from our lineages that would also contribute. So we also need to know how to heal the past in order to remove those contributing factors so that we can heal fast. And with respect of the menopause, I mean, there are aspects in the menopause that is just a pure physical process in that the body starts changing and the ovaries become empty and there are no more eggs to be produced. So they switch off the production of the estrogen and progesterone with all the consequences that we know of. So this one, we have really a very high success rate, I would say 99%, to help people to reverse and remove the very typical side effects. So I really would urge women out there who are suffering from menopause, who maybe do not have all the information, who feel sometimes even ashamed to talk about it, because you can be so strong your whole life, you can be so productive, and then suddenly it feels like you've been hit with a pattern over your head and you feel like you cannot function anymore. I would really urge you to come forward and you can contact us and talk to us. We give free discovery calls where we can establish where your most blockages are and how we can help you to overcome. One of the other effects also is I know a lot of women suffer from insomnia. Insomnia coupled with hot flushes, coupled with brain fog, coupled with weakening of the whole overall body, coupled with weight gain, coupled with emotional imbalance. That is a lot to deal with. And we do not need to suffer. There are solutions that we can give to remove all these side effects and make the menopausal process, that transitionary process, a powerful process to focus rather on new beginnings than being inhibited and incapacitated by all these negative side effects that menopause brings us.
Yes, thank you very much, Mon. I just have one last question that veer it away from women, because men, everything that you've said, affect. It's the same thing with men, right? I know couples that separate at this time when the woman is going on their menopause and the man is what this andropause. Yeah, can you give us some insights on that before we end this interview?
Yeah, I would say there is also a similar process, or I would say there is a process. I would reverse, not similar, but yes, men are also going through certain changes in and around the same age. However, since men do not have the capacity to, give birth and have to go through the extreme changes that a woman goes through every month with the periods, and then if women go pregnant, there is enormous hormonal changes that come with that, and then the menopause. So with men, they also change, and usually the one thing that happens is that their testosterone levels become lower. And because of that, they also experience physical changes. So men in their middle age would find that, they get a bigger belly. So they also have physical changes. And I think in their inner changes, it is more about the strength and the power that they otherwise would experience with respect of the testosterone levels, which makes them feel weaker internally. And so you would very often find that men would go into a midlife crisis, as they call it. And in the midlife crisis, they would kind of try to find an assertive way to know that they are still okay. So very often you would find that they would go and try to become more useful and go out and have adventures or find a new partner and these kind of things, which is, I think, probably a more subconscious way to try to make up for the inner changes that are happening in men, on the emotional mental levels as well. But on the physical level, the aspect of the diminishing of the menopause in men, one of the things that they need to look out for is the functioning of the prostate. One of the long-term side effects on the physical level is that many men would experience either an inflammation of the prostate and an expansion of the prostate, and sometimes also prostate cancer, which is very high in occurrence in this day and age. And the reasons behind it, energetically spoken, are very similar to what you would see in women. So there is a diminishing of the inner fire, of the fire in the belly, plus the hormones are changing, testosterone goes down. So there is not anymore as much energy going through the reproductive system, and that affects the prostate also with higher inflammation. And when it becomes bigger, it is because there is diminished energy. So it's like when you have high energy, your muscle would contract. But when you have less energy, the muscle would relax. And when it's more relaxed, it becomes bigger. And then the cancer energy is part also of a stuck energy or a congested energy in and around the reproductive system, and the energy centers that are connected to it. So men can also work ahead of time to avoid these long-term side effects of the inner changes in their midlife crisis when they're going through that. And again, same thing also, be active and exercise on the physical level, keep your vitality high. And you can rather prepare for the menopausal complications than cure at the end, or try to remedy the symptoms. So preventive measures is always better than curative measures. And again, in our healing system, we can help men and women on the levels of these side effects of possible cancer, because inflammation rates are going up in both the male and female bodies. and any other physical side effects, and also emotional and mental side effects that are coming with the menopause. And I think to end our conversation today, one of the aspects which I mentioned earlier, the 5 levels of health, is the spiritual aspect. I think when we are going through the time of these inner changes at the age usually so between, you know, the mid-40s to mid-50s, it is a time where you can refocus your life. So yes, it is true that during that time, many relationships break, but there's another reason behind it. It's not just because men and women are changing internally and they don't know what to do with their lives. It's because they need to find a new purpose in life. So usually at that time, especially when you have the year 48, 49, this is a year where you kind of conclude 7 by 7 years. And it is a very karmic year where a lot of negativities that we have from the karmic perspective are being purged. And anything in life that is not aligned to our next steps, to our higher purpose in life, would cause conflict. So many diseases that are connected to menopause or any comorbidities that came with it are actually manifesting during the year 48, 49. Many relationships break during the year 48, 49. People lose their jobs, or they just simply choose to say, I'm quitting and I'm going on a sabbatical. And I will, you know, they become natural seekers and they will go and look for a new purpose in their lives. So that is a very, very important aspect that at that age, we have already accumulated a lot of life experience. And we should seek maybe for a spiritual mentor and a healer. And in our case, we can offer both. We can offer you the energy medicine to remove and help you overcome the physical, vitality, emotional, mental issues. And then we can coach and mentor you also to find your next steps in life, to move forward with higher purpose and a spiritual purpose and meaningfulness in life, so that you can maintain longevity for the purpose of a greater contribution in life. So menopause is difficult for many, but is also one of the greatest opportunities to recreate a better life for ourselves.
Okay, so thank you so much, Moni. And for those of you out there who are going through it, like what Moni said, you don't need to suffer. How I wish I knew all of this. How I wish I knew Moni 10 years ago when I was going through my own menopause so that I wouldn't have had to suffer like that. But anyway, for those of you who are going through your menopause or who are in your 40s or in your 30s and starting to have that perimenopause, please Google us, please Google us, the World Institute for Incurable Diseases, or please leave a comment here. We will be in touch with you. Okay, so thank you very much, Moni. And those watching, I hope that all this knowledge that Moni imparted will be able to help you. Let's go on
Thank
and
you.
live our greatest life. Thank you, Moni.
Thank you very much, Rory. It has been a great pleasure. And I would just say in the same line as you say, seek help, seek healing. We can help you. You don't need to suffer.
Thank you.
Thank you.